Hello and welcome. You are here with us for episode 126. It is our first episode. Well, actually, that's not true. It's our second episode of the new year, but it's the first one that is with Ginny and I, because if you missed it, we had an incredible interview with Erin Bowers that kicked us off. It was awesome, talking about the challenges that we face when we want to do big things. And that's really the theme that we're going to go into the new year with here. Today, we're going to do a check-in and see where the conversation flows, because by the time you guys hear this, we're going to be on week 3 of January, and it's interesting to see actually where we're at that point. And there's a whole lot of stuff we're going to talk about around that. We got hours we could talk on this particular topic. And just before we actually start, this is coming out next week. So if you missed it, we had a future visioning workshop that we ran just this past Sunday. And the whole idea was to sit down with the future version of yourself and cement in the actions that you want to take to get to where you want to go. And out of that, we have a 30-day program that is designed to support you into really working towards that vision, working towards that North Star, helping you get to where you want to go. If you are interested in the workshop, we're going to have the link below to register. Go and check out the sales page. It's for you if you're the sort of person that has big dreams and you haven't been making them happen. Maybe there's a trip you've been wanting to do forever, or you've been wanting to go for a promotion at your work, but you just haven't asked the boss, or you want to make a career change and you're terrified to do that. Maybe you just want to take a break, right? I was listening to something the other day about taking a mini retirement, taking a month off and just giving yourself a moment to breathe. You want to start a new sport. There are so many things that we want to do in our lives, and it is honestly just a matter of setting that North Star and taking those actions. And sure, whatever that goal might be, it could be 1, 2, 3 years down the track. But if you don't start saying that's what I want and pointing towards it, it's not going to happen. And that's what this program is all about. We are going to be there to support you. We're going to have coaching calls once a week, and then we're going to just set our actions for the week so that we start to make that progress. And above all else, we start to trust ourselves. We start to be able to ask ourselves the question, if I did this for 30 days, what might happen? And we're going to make it fun, and we're going to make it exciting, and we're going to make it something that we want to do, not something that we're having to do. So go check it out. Reach out to us if you want more information. The link will be below. So we'll see you there. Let's get this check-in episode started. I am Natasha Lucky. I am a life mountain bike performance coach. I'm a business strategist, and I'm someone who is a bit of a gypsy, goes after the things that she wants. And I've created 3 businesses. I've sold businesses, and now I am here to help you get to where you want to go, whether it's in business or personal life. So that's who I am. My amazing co-host Ginny is with me as always. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we're going to dive right in.
Yeah, I'm Jenny Brandon. I'm an animal communicator and energy healer for animals and their people too. If you would like to get to know your pet better, or if you are struggling with behavior challenges, emotional challenges, or have some big things going on in your life and you want to make sure your pet is on the same page with you, that is a great reason to have a session together.
Okay, so how's January rolling for you, Ginny?
I'm here. If
start.
you guys have been following along, you know I've had a kind of bumpy couple months with construction on the house that went awry and a lot of things going on in my life. So January is at the moment a continuation of that theme, which I think is interesting because there's all those messages and memes and everything. It's like, oh, it's a new year. It's all fresh. It's all, let's start over. And I'm like, doesn't really work that way.
Yep. I don't think it's a yearly reset. I think quite often it's a mental reset, and we can do that moment by moment. Joe Dispenza, he talks about you spill the coffee cup on your way to work, and then it starts this cascade of events that happen. And then it's like, why are you so grumpy? Well, I spilled coffee this morning. And 3 months later, someone's like, well, why are you so grumpy? Well, 3 months ago, I spilled coffee on myself. And that is so often how we work through life. And his prescription to solve that is the future vision, is the stepping into who you want to be, because it steps you out of that where you are right now. And you can choose to change settings. If you're sailing a boat and you get knocked off course, which happens all of the time, you reset the sails, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we do it. And I think when we're so like set on the, well, I got a flat tire, so I may as well just slice the other three and see where I go from there. We don't get anywhere, and it doesn't work. My beginning of the year has actually been pretty awesome, but I will say that it's been a continuation of the way I ended the year. I downloaded this Meta Boost program, so I decided that I needed to switch something up because I was just sick of being frustrated and sick of being annoyed that I eat a healthy diet, but I've got this belly that I just don't feel comfortable when I'm at the beach. And so I ended up on the day before New Year's Eve, I was like, I'll start it. But I'd gone to the gym, and the first day, don't eat very much. And then Ian made this amazing curry, so I kind of did half of it, and then I had an amazing curry. I was supposed to have a smoothie for dinner. I had curry for dinner. And so I was like, I will do it properly tomorrow. And then I'm halfway through the day, and I realize that it's New Year's Eve. I'm like, who does a meta flush on New Year's Eve? Right? Like, what am I doing? How am I going to navigate the rest of my day like this? And I did. We tried to go out for New Year's Eve. It was too busy. We ended up coming home. We spent the evening sitting on top of our bodega watching the moon and listening to the party because we could hear the band. We heard their 9 o'clock Baja midnight celebration. And then we caught the last of the fireworks and curled up into bed and called it an amazing day.
I mean, fishing. That sounds lovely.
I caught a fish. It was actually an incredible way to finish off the year. Nice. And there's been a lot of really good things that have been happening since then. So I'm pretty jazzed up and pretty stoked, actually. But I will say it's got nothing to do with the turn of the new year. It's just where I'm kind of at with all of the things in my life at this point.
Yeah. I will say that doesn't mean that there's nothing good in my life at the moment, because there are a lot of good things going on. But the overall energy that I've been in right now is just a very heavy energy. And I think that's something that is important to point out, that like in the Northern Hemisphere right now, we're in winter. Absolutely. We are not supposed to be going crazy and taking huge actions and doing all of this stuff. This is still hibernation season. This is still the time when you're just trying to set the stage for what is to come. And I've learned enough about myself in the last however many years I've been working on stuff that I know that I don't hit a lot of goals in January. It's just not the right time for me. I am more of a spring summer person. So January is the time when I start formulating things. I tend to explore ideas a lot. I think about what I want a lot, and I ruminate on a lot of things and just hold space. And then spring comes, and that's when I start to get a lot of energy back and start to really be able to take bigger actions. That's not to say I take no action in the winter, but I know myself well enough to know I should not be trying to go crazy right now. So we kind of fell off the wagon with all of the house stuff and everything that happened through the holidays with getting to the gym. So we're committing to working on that again, but it's also really lightly right now because energy levels are just super low. Today and yesterday are the first 2 days the sun's been out in like 2 weeks. And that never helps me. I have a happy light, but it is not the same.
No, it makes it super hard. And on my end, I'll say that it doesn't mean that everything in my life is perfect either. And I think that's the balance, right? And I think that's what's so important to really see again, like at the end of a day, at the end of a week, at the end of a month, at the end of the year, there are always going to be, generally your energy will feel one way or the other. But it's really important to acknowledge if you've had a heavy day, if you've had a heavy week, if you've had a heavy month, if you've had a heavy year, acknowledging that. And then also taking a moment to really acknowledge and anchor in the good stuff, because they say that if you complain a lot, then you will become a person who complains. It's like you set the habit of being that way. And so if you're constantly just settling into the negative stuff that's happening, it's going to be your habit to only see that. And I think
Yeah.
it's just so important that we find the balance. My husband's father passed away right at the end of last year, and it's been heavy, it's been hard, it's sad. He's processing through that. It's shitty. I mean, it's part of life that happens. It wasn't unexpected, but it was also like, it's not a positive thing. It's not like, yay, everything's great, because it isn't. But then at the same time, it's been really neat to see the whole family be like, this is really sad, this is heavy, there's a lot of grief around it. And he was 94. He had a good run, he had a great life, and he was doing great right up until the last couple of weeks. And that was when it was like, and I'm done. And I think that again is that energy of the dark and the light,
The
and
both and.
the both and when we're looking for those things, then we can move through that. And there's a lot of people that are like, wow, the first week of January has been really heavy. And it's like, yeah, well, it's winter and there's a lot of things that go on, and our world is pretty heavy right now. So when we can find the rays of light, that's what keeps us going. As you said, you're still here. So how can we move gently? How can we move through with ease and grace? And I think that's what I love so much about this process that we've just gone through, but at time of recording, we're going to go through on Sunday, is that whole idea of what we normally do is we just go for things, but there's no real like North Star. We've gotten our car and we're driving and there's no map. We don't actually know where we're going, which we'd never do if we got in the car. And so when you can set your direction in your GPS, that makes it so much easier to map out where you're going. And then when you can actually take that and dilute those actions down, and if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that Ginny and I are really big on small steps. I was listening to an interview with James Clear. Is that
I think so.
with the
Atomic Habits.
And he was talking about it's that 1%. You can be 1% better every day. And I've been going out surfing, and some days I don't catch any waves. Sometimes I am out there to practice paddling, practice maneuvering my board around, practice not getting too pissed off when people do really annoying things around me, which at a busy surf beach happens all of the time. So one of my friends is like, it's just good to be out here, because the more you're out there, the better you get at being out there. And it's not necessarily about having an epic surf, but it's about being 1% better every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a pretty cool goal.
Yeah. It's realistic. And what I like about it is that it focuses on the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Because if you're only trying to be 1% better, you're only looking at the fundamentals that are right in front of you. And that's really where we can make the biggest changes. The horse work that I do is very much focused on how well you can do those really, really basic things. And the better you do the basics, the better you do everything. So even if you never catch a wave, practicing paddling your board out, I would dare say, is the majority of surfing. That's the fundamental that's critical that you learn how to do really, really well.
Yep.
And once you can work on mastering that, the other things will naturally fall into place with not as much effort or struggle, because you have that foundation underneath you. And I feel like that's what this season is about, is what is your foundation? What do you have underneath you that you're building, so that when spring comes and we move into summer, that growth is able to happen because you're ready for it. You're ready to be able to make those steps, and they will feel natural and normal and easy at that point, rather than trying to jump into, oh, well, I want to be fit, so I need to go to the gym 5 days a week. Yeah, where's that coming from? I mean, that's why the gym stays busy for a month or two and then it goes back to normal again. And then
Mm-hmm.
the people who understand the basics and the fundamentals are the only ones left for the next 9 months
Yep.
until we start this cycle all over again. And I don't want to be one of those people. I don't
Yep.
want to be one of those people that ends up dropping things because I've bitten off more than I can proverbially chew. And I've just learned that the more I focus on the little tiny steps, whether it's with my animal work or in business or anything I want to achieve with my diet and my health, can I be 1% better? What is 1% better than yesterday?
Yep.
And even when I'm in the midst of a kind of energy feeling like I've got going on right now, there's still ways to be 1% better than it was. But as long as you don't make it wrong for where you are, then you can continue to move forward. But if you are berating yourself and beating yourself up for where you're starting at, then you're going to have a hard time even managing 1% because you
Absolutely.
aren't okay with where you're beginning.
Well, and I want to add on to that to say that, and I don't know if this is exactly right, 'cause it was a couple of years ago that I heard this, but from the statistics that they can pull now from all of these learning apps that you can sign up to, they have seen that day 19 is the day that people stop. So
Interesting.
you sign up to whatever it is, Duolingo, like the streaks generally get to day 19. And then that's it. If you can make it past day 19, and I mean, don't quote me on that because it could be day 16, but I'm pretty sure it was day 19, then you might make it to 21 days. And they've got all that research around 21 days makes a habit, but that's not even true. It's sometimes a habit for people is 365 days. And sometimes a habit for some people is 1 day. It really depends on the thing that you're doing, how fun that thing is. And I dare say, oh, that's so something you would say, that it is how you go about it. You know, again, this interview, James was talking about somebody that started their gym and they committed to going to the gym for 5 minutes and they were only allowed to be there for 5 minutes. And so it was
I
like every
remember
day
that
they would
story. I love it.
drive to the gym, they would do half an exercise and they would then leave again.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's hilarious. I talked about this in the future visioning workshop I did about a month ago. One of the people asked about, like, how do I get to my goal, right? The goal's kind of scary. I want to leave my job and start a business. And I was like, well, it's kind of like coming up to a scary mountain bike feature. When you're looking at the scary mountain bike feature and you're like, I got to roll down that rock. And as you're coming up to it, all you're thinking about is how terrified you are of rolling down that rock. You actually physically move back and away. And by the time you get there, you are in absolutely no position, literally, if you're on a bike, and figuratively, if you're moving towards a goal like leaving your job. You are not in the position mentally, physically, to actually do the thing because you've moved away from it.
You're
So what I would
recoiling.
do,
Yeah.
yeah, right? And so what I would do is I say to people, you're not going, like, I forbid you. You are not going to ride this feature. And I'd put a line in the sand and I would say, you are going to ride up to this feature. You are committing to the commitment point. And you're going to get to the commitment point thinking about strong core, look ahead, heels down, I got this. And then you're going to firmly pull those brakes on and you're going to come to a strong stop. And the amount of times, which was almost 100% of the time, people would get to the feature, they would take their eyes off of the trail, they would look at me and say, can I drop in? This doesn't even look scary anymore. It's like, yeah, because you're in the exact right position. So the same thing with the job. If instead of focusing on quitting the job and starting the business, you focus on all the steps that you need to take in order to succeed, then when you get there, it's not hard. 5 minutes a day. I just got to go to the gym for 5 minutes. I can do that. That's not scary. I'm not scared of being in the gym because I don't actually have to be there. I only have to be there for 5 minutes. And it makes so much sense. It makes asking that question of, if I did this for the next 30 days, what change would happen? Look at all of these apps. Again, they're breaking them down into pieces so small now because they're trying to help you get past the 19-day curse.
Yeah. I think you're right that sometimes it might not be 19 days. I'm sure a quick Google would answer that question, but we don't need to know exactly. But there's a tipping point. And we have definitely been to the gym more than 19 days. We did an amazing job last year. We had some bumps in the road here and there, but we did a really good job. And so what happens though is once you get past that sort of break point, if you do take a break for whatever reason, whether it was self-imposed or whether it was life getting in your way of the thing you're working on, it's easier to pick it back up again. It's easier to manage. And what I find is when you've spent a lot of time focusing on those small steps, you don't lose your progress just because you stopped temporarily. Between the schedule and the weather for the last 3 or 4 weeks, it has been hard for me to get the horses worked. When I had time, the weather was crappy and I couldn't ride, or vice versa. If the weather was good, I had other obligations that were much more demanding. So the horses have only been sporadically worked. Well, this lovely weather that is coming through here with this heat wave right now, which is fantastic, I got both horses worked this week. And they felt just as good, if not better, than the last time I worked them, which was probably at least 2 weeks ago at this point. And so even though we had a break, it didn't matter for their progress overall because they are still holding that foundation that we've built. We've spent so much time on the foundation, it's not going anywhere. And when you can give yourself that gift, it becomes easier. Like, okay, so what? Life is giving me a bump in the road. Maybe the job that I'm working that I don't want to work anymore is making me work overtime and I can't take the steps on the business I want to build. Okay, so what? Pick it back up again as soon as you're freed up again, and you'll be able to pick up right where you left off and keep moving. If you're trying to bite off huge chunks and make giant steps of progress, if you get interrupted, you won't be able to pick it up where you left off again.
Well, and I think too, the other part of that is sometimes the reset is an opportunity to look at, maybe it's a different season and there's something different to be done. Ian and I did yoga every night for, like, I don't know, 9 months. And then that went into me doing over the summer. I was in the perfect location. The best exercise for me to do within the space that I had available was a short HIIT workout followed by a yoga. That was what made sense. I did a pretty good job while we were on the road of keeping that up the best I could. And then we got here and it's hot and there's bugs and I couldn't do the yoga. I couldn't do the workout. I couldn't do the thing. And Ian puts up my screen tent, so that's great. But this thing becomes a sauna. After a certain point, there is no doing a workout because it's just not going to happen. I mean, I did a 90-minute yoga on New Year's Day, and for me, it started at 10 o'clock. So I'm like, 90 minutes of yoga, 90 minutes of power yoga. This is a giant step. Like, this is like, we're going from 45 minutes is a challenge, and I'm just going to double it. But I'm like, I'm doing it. It's New Year's Day. I got this. I didn't know if I had this, but I was like, it's alive. It's going to be fun. I'm going to do my best, right? Knowing I was going into a hot yoga session because it was going to be yoga. It was totally heated yoga. There was a point where they're like, and try to get into crow pose. And I'm like, there's no way. That's not happening. I was so slippery. And I got through. I actually survived without a problem. It was great. But it was hot yoga. And that was my option. That's all I could do. And what that has meant was the restart. There was a bit of a break. I didn't do a whole lot of activity. It was just walks with the dog. And then me and my girlfriend kind of were like, let's get into doing some weighted workouts. So she brought her mini gym down with her. So we've got weights at her house. And so we started, it was like the first one was, I think, 8:30. And then the next one we were like, okay, we'll meet at 8, and then 7. And then we went and joined the gym, but the gym gets busy at 7. So now we're like 6:30, and this morning I got there at 10 past 6. And so it's an opportunity to change the environment. This is not the best environment for me to do the workouts that are going to serve me. There is, for the first time in a very long time for me, more than 18 months, there is a gym 5 minutes down the road. It cost me 500 pesos to join the gym. That's like 25 bucks for the month. And I'm like, well, this is my opportunity. When I leave here, I don't know whether I'm going to have that opportunity again. So this is what I'm going to do for now. When I leave, as I say, I'm going to have to take that opportunity to go, okay, what's my next opportunity? And mountain biking right now hasn't been an easy thing to do, so I haven't been doing a lot of that. But if I'm in the right location for the summer, mountain biking might be right out my door. So maybe my morning workout becomes mountain biking every morning. Just because things change, it's actually an opportunity to go, maybe this isn't serving me anymore.
Yeah.
Well, same goal.
What I want to say about that is that there are so many ways to get to our goals.
So many ways.
How often do we trap ourselves in this is the only way, these are the only steps I can take that will get me to where I want to be? Whereas if we just stepped back for a minute and allowed the next step to reveal itself, we might get to our goal even faster through a different route that we hadn't thought of and that we couldn't see. And that's where your intuition comes into play, and that's where the allowing piece comes into play. Because without that, you're going to be stuck on one track and focused on one way of doing things. And like you said, I came back with the horses and they were just fine. They had time off and they were just fine. And so if I had been so bent on getting the work done, they might have missed some opportunity to process the work we had been doing. You can't beat yourself up for those changes, because that also keeps you away from your goal when you're too busy being upset about where you were and why it wasn't the way you thought it should be. There's the S word again, right? So the more you can just look for the next step, fitness or health or diet or business or working with animals, there's a million different ways to do all of it.
Absolutely.
And so whatever that next step is for you, allowing it to unfold for yourself in that moment. Some days it might be yoga, but some days it might be a bike ride, but some days walking the dog is it.
Totally.
Yesterday we should have gone to the gym, but I ended up on the phone with my sister, which I don't get to talk to her all that often. And I think she kind of needed a little bit of an ear as my oldest nephew goes off to college. They leave today. So I spent some time just talking with her and connecting with her. And you know what we did? We went for a walk after dinner instead. And it was so lovely because it was still 50 degrees outside, which this time of year, that's amazing. Yeah. And so we took a nice walk in the dark and got to look at all the neighbors' Christmas lights, and it was lovely. And that was what worked yesterday instead of going to the gym. I could be really upset that on opportunity number 2 of the year, we didn't go to the gym. We aimed for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and yesterday would have been the second time we could have gone, and we didn't. But that's okay, because we just adjusted and dealt with what we had in the moment, and both of us are feeling a little bit low energy right now. So going to the gym is hard and takes a lot out of us. Walking right now is a great thing to do instead that feels good. And honestly, I think those steps that you can take that feel good towards a goal are going to get you closer to the goal than if you are begrudgingly, grumbly, upset, irritated, trying to do the thing. If you're mad you're going to the gym because you really don't want to be there and you don't like the fact that you are not feeling good at where you are in your body right now and you're just grumbling the entire time, I don't think you're going to get the same results. So find the thing that feels good and you'll get better results than the thing that you're resisting doing because you think that's what you should be doing to get to the goal.
Well, that's when you're giving up on day 2. or day 14. It's funny because I'm like, yeah, well, just go on January the 20th. Most of those people will be gone, like, won't even be busy
I
anymore.
hope
And
so.
you'll have had some awesome
I
walks
hope
and
so.
connection and gotten some rest, and everything will be
Yeah.
perfect. You'll be
Yeah.
like,
It'll
this
be
is
great.
awesome. Everyone else has gone away. Like, I got this. It's funny, as
Yeah.
you were talking, I was reminded of, we had this grocery store chain that opened up when I was a kid. And it was so funny. It was like they had all these big um, carrots and like carrot people running around and broccoli people running around. It was a super fun grocery store. It was rad. But one of the things they had was shortcuts. So you go into the produce section, but if you didn't need any produce, there was actually a shortcut that would take you to another section. And so instead of having to walk all the way through a part of the store that you didn't need to be in, you could shortcut through to another section. And basically, the shortcuts took you from the produce to the whatever that food is that, like, is in cans and bottles and cardboard boxes and all of that stuff. And then you could shortcut through to the meat and dairy section, which I think the idea behind it was that it made it easier for people to come in and do quick shops. And it made it
Yeah.
so fun for the kids because we'd run through and you'd shortcut through. But I think that's kind of what you're talking about, right? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you don't need to go all the way through the produce section to get to your goal. There's a side door that you can take to get you to exactly the point where you need to be. But if you're too busy focused on, but I have to go this way through the store because that's how you go through a grocery store, in this particular instance, you take one action and you think that there's three more actions that need to be taken, but the one step you took could actually shortcut you or quantum
Yeah.
leap you into another place. And that is when things become fun and become interesting and become super exciting. I have this friend and we started working out. And 2 days after we started working out together, she went away for like 4 days. So then I was like, okay, well, I got to find a way to work out without her for a couple of days, without her little gym. And then she came back and she's like, should we go to the gym? I'm like, yeah, let's go to the gym. And so then we started going to the gym. I think we got 2 workouts. And then it was the 30th and she had to go home for 10 days. And so I'm now on my own. I've got a gym membership and she's given me the workouts that her coach gave her. So we worked out the days she left. Then it was the 31st and the gym was only open limited hours. I was like, that's not going to work for my schedule. And then the first, they weren't open at all. So I did my own thing those 2 days. And then on the second, I was like right back there with my workout in hand. And I've done, I think, 4 workouts without her. We just message each other. And then she's coming back on Sunday. But on Sunday, I go away for a week. And I've got a gym where I'm going. So that's great. So I'll continue. So, but we've both been doing the same thing as if we're together. And all it took was those 2 days together to lay that foundation.
Yeah.
So that was like the shortcut. The action was not find an accountability buddy and go to the gym every day with her. Well, that was kind of the action, but the 2 days quantum leaped me into being able to do it myself. And also to have a buddy, so you go to the gym and show up at 6:30 in the morning. I only needed that for 2 days, and now I'm actually getting up and going, even though it's only me showing up for myself. And so I didn't know that was possible. Like, I quantum leaped. I went through the secret back door, and now I've been working out. I'm on day 7, so I'm now on 2 days free at the gym. Quite proud of that. And I'm going for a surf after I finish. So then it's like, well, if I go this morning, I was like, I got to get there earlier. Because if I'm there just after 6, I'll get my workout in. Then I can have time to make my smoothie. I can go for a surf and I can be back in time to record with Ginny. And I was excited to get up at 6 o'clock this morning, or
Yeah.
10 to 6 this morning when the alarm went
Yeah.
off. And my girlfriend's like, then your body starts craving it. I'm like, no, I've been a get up early person reluctantly pretty much since I was 13 and going to swim training at 5 o'clock in the morning. I have never craved it, wanted it, been excited by it. I will do it, but it's not like,
Yeah.
as I say, I am much more happy to be the person that sleeps in.
Yeah.
But that doesn't fit into the life I want to have. So,
Yeah. There's two things that I'll say that I think are really relevant here. And number one is you have shifted into working on these types of things over the last year or so. If we had been having this conversation a year ago, you probably wouldn't have made it to day 7. But over the past year, you've laid the foundation for yourself through lots and lots of small steps that right now, this is easy for you and it feels good. The other
totally.
piece of that puzzle that I think we need to be realistic about is there are things that are important for us to do that are a part of the things we want to do that we will never always want to do. There really isn't a day that I'm excited to go pick up poop. I own horses, okay? I prefer that they be under my care and my direction, and that means picking up poop every day.
Right.
Thank goodness horse poop does not stink like most other animal poop. But I'm not ever excited to leap out of bed and go pick up poop. It's just not the thing that I want to be doing. If I become somehow insanely wealthy, yeah, I will have someone do that for me and I will happily pay them very well. We're not there yet, and that's okay. And it is okay to have action steps that you have to take every day or many times frequently that you don't like to do. And the less you fight those steps and just make it a part of what you do because you value the outcome. I value the fact that my horses are well taken care of and happy. I value being with them every day, even if that means I have to just pick up poop. And that's what we do. And you're valuing the way you feel when you take the time to go to the gym consistently. And the way that that feels the best is by getting up early to do it. And so that value, and as you said, that North Star, that guiding principle, is what you have to go back to sometimes because you're not going to want to do the things every day all the time. And you do have to make sure you're balancing stuff out because if you put too many of those things on your plate at one time, then the resistance crops up and that's when you drop the goal.
Yeah.
But when
Well,
you've got a
and
strong North Star and you're willing to do the work, the things that are hard or quote not fun don't really matter anymore.
well, and this sort of comes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. If all you focused on was picking up the poop and how much that sucked when you have a horse, you could have that conversation with people all the time. And people would be like, oh, Ginny hates having horses because she has to pick up the poop. Right?
Yeah.
And that could be your focus. And then having horses isn't fun because you hate picking up poop. Whereas you're like, I love all of these things. And, well, like there's good and bad when there's poop. Like literally that's life, right? Like there's this and then there's this and then there's poop. And there's kind of that adjustment. Next week, the place I'm going, the gym doesn't open till 7:00. So I've got two options. I can take the opportunity to sleep in because I literally can't go to the gym until 7:00. I could continue to get up at 6:30ish, and I could work for half an hour before going to the gym, which would then give me more time to hang out at the pool and enjoy my day. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. On Tuesday, it means I probably won't get to go to the gym because I've got yoga at 8:00. These things are just things that we manage and we figure out and we make it work.
They're
And
just
it's
things.
not, they're just things. And it's not like, oh no, I've just gotten good at getting up at 6:00 in the morning. And if I don't get up at 6:00 in the morning, well, then I'm just going to go back to only being able to get up at 7:00 in the morning. In fact, I probably will go back to sleeping until 9 because that's just how things work.
Can't go to the gym at 6, might as well sleep till 9. Which, that's also a choice you can make. There's really no rules, right? Like, I think sometimes we feel like there's an awful lot more rules that we need to somehow be following than really are. You know, nothing says you can't take the break in your trip and choose a different way Like, who says you actually have to be in the gym that week? You could do your yoga, or you can swim in the pool. There's lots of different ways to do it. And we so often get stuck thinking there's one way, or it has to be this way, it has to look this way, or it's wrong. And that is so not true. We limit ourselves and the possibilities and the ability to achieve the goals when we get stuck in that thinking. And so
Totally.
the more we can just allow things to flow and keep taking the next best step in the moment, the easier it gets and the more progress we make. And so
Totally.
that's the energy I want to be carrying into the new year. I'm not going to make some big crazy resolutions. That was an episode a couple years ago. I don't do that. It's just, what's the next best step? What
Yeah.
is the next best step in the moment? And keep going.
Well, and I will be going to the gym because the gym has a dry sauna and a wet sauna and a
Heck
jacuzzi.
yeah.
The
That
locker
is a
room,
really good reason to go to the gym.
the locker room just makes going to the gym. And possibly on Tuesday after yoga, I may very well go to the gym, do a very short session,
Mm-hmm.
and then go to the steam room, sauna, and
Hell
jacuzzi. I
yeah.
could literally just hang out. We're staying for a little bit longer this time. I'm like, I could spend an entire day just hanging out in the locker room, and no one else goes in there. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Like, this is the best
Jacuzzi?
part of
Heck
the
yeah.
resort. It could be that I'm taking a vacation from, the beach, so it's not like I'm there on my 1 week vacation. As we wrap this up, I did want to share with everyone that's listening that I'm really excited going into the new year. We're going to keep the writing in the weeds the same, just saying that, but I'm also going to be launching another podcast, which I'm going to tell you about and tell you the name and all of that stuff at a later date. But it's going to be an extension of what Jenny and I do here. And it's really a big leap whilst taking small steps. Well, it's actually just I've been taking a lot of small steps, and now it's going to feel or look like a big leap into really owning the Natasha Lockie consultancy. And what's really interesting is I went to ChatGPT and was like, can you help me? Like, you're my brand strategist. Can you help me put these ideas? Because there's a whole bunch of stuff. And like, can you find the through line for me? And I asked it about whether it should be natashalockie.com or Trails and Waves, which is my kind of consulting name that I've started using. And what was really interesting is I didn't mention this at all, but ChatGPT was like, yeah, no, Natasha Lockie, and this is what you're going to offer, and this is where the podcast is going to sit, and this is where the other stuff is going to sit. And then it says, and Trails and Waves, we're going to keep that. We're not throwing that out, but that's going to be your experience arm. And that's where you're going to do retreats and experiences. And I was like, okay, that's really creepy because I didn't
I
talk
love
about
it.
the retreats and the experiences, but ChatGPT's like, no, that's this part because my ChatGPT knows me really quite well. And I was really excited by where this all fits together in this puzzle. I'm just so excited about, all the things. Jenny and I have a bunch of really exciting things that we're going to work on with the podcast as well on this side together. And it's funny because when I first started listening to podcasts, there was this couple that I would listen to, and they were two females, and one of them lived in LA. She had two children. She stopped drinking. The other one lived in New York or somewhere. She's on the other East Coast, and she was like the whiskey drinking, weed smoking side of the, and they were both coaches, did their own sort of coaching thing, and they came together and did this podcast. And I loved the two of them together. And it was really interesting because they both had like these very distinctly different sort of coaching styles and coaching things that they did. And then they would come together and they were offering retreats and things together. And I always just thought that was so cool. And it's funny because, it's like, I don't know which part of the partnership. I'm probably more of the whiskey drinking, weed smoking side of this partnership,
Ah.
but I don't do
Yeah,
either of
it's
those
probably
things.
like split the other way. Like
Now I've become the
half.
like non-drinking.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah,
But
no. I mean,
yeah,
I think that's what makes this work, right? Is that we are very opposite, and yet it balances itself out. And that's how you make progress, is by looking for that balance and always coming back to it. So I am
absolutely.
excited for 2026, and I am trying to relish in this energy of just being in the earth and the percolating and that underground, feeling the currents of things starting to shift and move. and just waiting for spring to start opening up everything. So there's a lot to be done, even though it's the season of all the internal stuff. So it's just a different way of doing things. And I think it's a different way of approaching the new year that to me feels a lot better. I would rather do it this way. I'm not interested in suddenly going to the gym for 5 days a week.
And then petering out on day 19.
And then, yeah, like by February, like, unhappy with myself again and regretting things and probably sore and not wanting to go back again. They say the heaviest weight in the gym is the door.
It absolutely is. And I just,
Yeah.
and then we're proving to ourselves that we're not worthy of our own trust. And I think that is like at all costs, what we need to do is we need to start trusting ourselves. We need to take the action steps that prove that our dreams are worth our time. And
I love it.
that's what our 30-day program is about, is 100% of our focus and the impact that we want to make with this course is that you will come out of it knowing that your dreams, your North Star is not just possible, but you're worthy of it. You actually are worthy of that future vision, that you can be that future you. And that is what happens when we stop at day 19. It's one more piece of proof that we suck.
Yeah.
And this is the year. If you don't make any other claim this year, like claim this to be the year that you just stop doing that. You quitting on yourself and you just figure out where you're going and just 1% better every single day. And as James Clear said, you will literally be better than 90% of human beings at the end of that, because most people don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that,
I love it.
Every time we get on and just are like, we're just going to do a check-in, we talk for way longer than we say we're going to. So if you have held on with us, we really, really appreciate you being here. Help us out. Write a comment, share this episode with a friend, and give us a like, give us some support. We would really appreciate it. You can subscribe on Substack to us. We have a paywall that you can actually go behind, and we're going to be putting things in. The replay to the Future Vision Workshop will actually be living in there. If you came, you get free replay. If you didn't get the free replay, you can come to the 30-day course, or you can subscribe and you'll be able to access all these little nuggets and things that we're going to be creating. So please like, share, subscribe. We would really, really appreciate it. And remember, when you send out a message to people saying, hey, I was thinking of you and I thought you'd enjoy this episode, it really lands deeply with people. So I'm Natasha Lockie. I am a life coach, a mountain bike coach, a business builder, and so many more things. Reach out to me. I do have one spot available right now for 3 sessions, one-on-one coaching with me, 1 hour. It's only $197. It's a screaming deal. So if you're interested in that, go to meetwithtash.com. If you want to find me online, I'm at Betty Gohard on Instagram and Natasha Lockie on Facebook and Substack. And that's all I have to say.
Awesome. I am Jenny Brandon. I'm an animal communicator and energy healer for animals and their people too. If you are trying to sort out your pet relationships a little bit and figure out what might be going on, whether those are behavioral challenges or emotional challenges, that would be a great reason to get connected together so we can find out a little bit more about life from your pet's perspective. You can find me online at soulpetconnections.com and on Substack, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube under the same handle. So thank you very much again for hanging on through the wild ride through the weeds today, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, everyone. Have an amazing week. We'll see you soon.